Alright, so got a new battery. It's one from 3.2 V6, so it's bigger. Should probably handle Canadian winters fairly well. I have the old lug nuts here. Those used to be with the VMRs, but because I plan on selling the car and I'm going to be selling it with the AGs, I have these chrome lug nuts. Now, because these are just like cheap steel lug nuts or whatever, just like generic ones, when they make these, they chrome plate them after, so that way they can just mass produce tons of lug nuts, and then they chrome plate the entire thing. So we have little remnants of chrome plating on the inside, and now it's not a huge issue. They still go on and everything. Over time, they will get corrosion in them, and because of the corrosion, it happens underneath the chrome coating, which will expand, and it forces the chrome coating into the studs on the car, because it has a TPI stud conversion kit. But essentially what happens is that it makes these C's on, and then when you're taking them out, it'll actually unthread the stud, and then you're having a bad time trying to get the stud out of the lug. So all I'm doing is I'm just taking an M14 by 1.5 tap. I have no idea where my cutting fluid is, so I'm just using penetrating fluid. I don't know. It does the job, I guess. That's cutting through all of the chrome coating that's on the inside, which is actually making the threads in this very fractionally smaller than an actual M14 by 1.5. So it's going to make the lugs harder to put on, and then significantly harder to take off after a few years. So I just got a 19mm wrench, and I'm just threading these all the way down till they bottom out, and I'm just taking them back off. That's basically it. I'm doing it for all of them. Okay, so that's bottomed out. I'm gonna break it loose, and we can be lazy about it. You can see all of the material that came out. That's all of the chrome coating that was interfering with the threads, not making it a true M14 by 1.5. But otherwise, looking pretty good in there by comparison to one that has the coating still kind of seeping all the way through it. So on the car itself, I actually have these ones, these little like spike things or whatever. These are aluminium, and they work, but the only thing with these is every time you torque them, it kind of pulls on the threads. The thread pitch tightens up. Like, I can barely do this anymore by hand. It makes it extremely hard to put these on when you can only do a few threads by hand and they start tightening up, and then you have to use a ratchet to go all the way in because you can't impact on an aluminum lug nut. Because of that, switching to steel ones for when I sell this car, because it'll make it a lot easier for the next owner to take wheels on and off or whatever they want to do. Now you can see the same stud. You just start threading this on. Like, this has like no resistance at all. Also, if we just loosen up a little bit, just so it doesn't have full contact pulling the threads together, there's no lash forward and backward, and there's no movement up or down at all. So these threads are absolutely perfect fitting to the threads of the studs. Every single stud has had an M14 by 1.5 die run all the way down and back off, and every single chrome lug will have had an M14 by 1.5 tap run all the way down till it bottoms out, and all the way back out. So that way the threads on both the studs and the lug nuts are cut exactly the same. There's no interference with coating or anything, and it's going to make it significantly easier for the next owner to service this car. Because, like, these have, like, no resistance at all. Like, these are amazing to use after. Which you might think is a bad thing, because they're so loose, but when you torque them down, the actual threads itself in the lug will bind against the threads on the stud. When they're threading together, because we've cut them perfectly side by side, they're an exact fit. So there's no resistance going back and forth. But when you torque them together, and then suddenly there's pressure, they stay together. The studs are all cleaned up. The new lugs are absolutely flawless. And I'm replacing all of these aluminum ones. Plus, the like generic chrome ones or whatever will look a lot better with the AGs because they have the diamond cut faces and chrome lug nuts. So I mean, it all kind of matches. Whereas like these spike ones, they look a little bit better with the VMRs. You know, these are 19s, a little bit more aggressive for the car. They're gunmetal. I got the black lugs. Depending on what I do, maybe I'm going to get another Audi and reuse these. Maybe sell these. Probably sell them with the lug nuts. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. All I know right now is I'm just trying to get this car done so I can bring it in for a safety inspection. And then I can sell it. Because I just don't use it anymore. Like, it's a cool car. There's not really anything wrong with it. Runs good. Drives good. It's really quick. Like, this thing actually pulls pretty hard away from like a Mark 7 Golf R. So it's a pretty deadly little car. It's just, I don't know, I don't use it. So instead of just having it sit here and then, maybe a few times a year I end up taking it out, I might as well just put that momentary driving into that E36 that I picked up a while ago. Then I can beat the hell out of that thing, and then someone else can appreciate this thing. The next owner can literally just get in, drive it, and it'll be fine for years. And then if they want to start screwing with it, then it's a perfect platform for them. It all starts with the small things. I'm just going to continue making the lug nuts for the future owner delightful to use. Well, in the attempt to get as many videos as I can get done before it starts snowing. It's currently October, and this video isn't going to come out until January. So, Happy New Year's, all of that junk or whatever. Hope you had a good time. But at this current time, I'm going to be selling it, saying that I am including the extra doors and side skirts. If someone buys it before I actually paint everything, then that's where the project ends, because the car will be gone, and then that's up to them. But if this sits for a while and no one's buying it, because as of right now, this car is going to be listed through the winter. So who wants to buy a slammed A3 for the winter? It's going to be a really hard sell right now. Plus, I only have summer tires for it. Which means that over time, I'm going to continue putting more and more work into it. And the more work that I put into it, I'm just going to raise the sale price of the car to accommodate for the extra work that I'm doing. So if it sits for a while, because it's going to be a really hard sell, trying to sell this in the winter when we get like multiple feet of snow here. Although a very capable car. I did drive it the entire winter, slammed on the AGs with summer tires. And I never got stuck once. Even in the absolute ridiculous manner that it was in throughout the winter, it still held up really well. But it's just going to be a hard sell. So depending on how long it takes, I might end up doing more work. But as of right now, I'm just going to try and get it as mechanically sound as possible. So for the safety, the exhaust has to be completed. And now because I had ordered a muffler for this car, and then the pandemic happened, so the parts that were going to the border for me to pick up, I couldn't go there to pick them up, and they ended up getting sent back, and then the company that I bought them from ended up going bankrupt. So I lost all the money on the entire rear section, muffler, axle, back, whatever bullshit you want to call it. And that's gone. That got sent back to somewhere, company went bankrupt, and I lost my money. I don't have the exhaust. So right now, this is just a turbo back straight pipe. So I'm just going to be taking the stock muffler and putting it back on, because this downpipe has the extra flange piece that you can put in it, which goes from the 3-inch down to the 2.5, so that way you can still attach a stock or equivalent muffler. So stock muffler's going back on. The whole reason I wanted to start doing stuff with the exhaust is because there was a hole in it, and I already started this and I didn't record anything just because I was trying to get this car done quickly because it's getting cold, and now it's already cold, so really doesn't matter at this point. I'm going to be freezing and bitchy the entire time anyway, so might as well have fun with it now so you guys can watch me slowly lose my mind. But I ended up welding that hole. I cleaned it all up, ground it all down. I repainted the whole exhaust with exhaust paint. So that has ceramic in it, or silica ceramic, it's something like that. And it's been sitting for a couple days. So all I have to do is grab that from outside, and I just have to put it on the car. A very simple task, and then we just have to bake it. So I just have to start the car. I gotta let it get up to temperature. I'm gonna let it run for a half hour. Then you shut it off for a half hour. You run it for a half hour, shut it off for a half hour, and then one third time you run it for a half hour, and then you just shut it off and let it cool. And it is going to smell like I'm not going to remember any of this tomorrow, because it's essentially burning chemicals out of the paint to melt the little silica particles to create a ceramic coating on the exhaust. You can see the car's kind of stuck in here, because I'm still trying to clean and organize everything. So I just get to sit in here, Maybe I'll crack the door so we don't play some Billy Talent or something. Oh, and because the car's sitting, I have it on this trickle charger. So it's just charging up right now. I'm going to toss the exhaust on while this is doing its thing. Then once I have it all buttoned up, we can just start it up. Oh, God, it's so cold. And it's not even, cold. It's at that temperature where if you haven't climatized yourself yet, it's just painful to be outside, but you know that it's not cold enough that you should be bitching about it, so you just feel like an asshole. Oh, God. I really need to get a heater for in here. This is all painted. Oh my God, this is so cold. Jesus Christ. Oh, my hand. Oh, God. Hey, I was trying to clean that up a bit or whatever, but the hole was right here. I think it came out pretty good. Nice little patch. Can't even tell it's there. Ground it all down and everything. Smoothed it out. Sanded it. Painted it. All the fun stuff. And you also might be wondering, why did I paint the entire thing black? One, it's less noticeable. So on the chance that someone does see under the back of the car, you're not going to see this giant friggin' suitcase. So it'll be a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. And for some reason, silver exhaust paint is $30 a can. Black exhaust paint is $22 a can. So I saved $8. That's like almost 3 McDoubles, man. It's a pretty good savings. I'm gonna try and get this under here without scratching it, because it's not baked on yet, so like this paint is just gonna flake off. How am I gonna do this? Okay. Oh god, my back. And he sees the clamp, some new bolts. Well, if you can't see anything, that's good, because I can't either. Hey, I got it. Wow. This is gonna be interesting. How am I supposed to get... Oh my god. So I need to put leg here. Oh, this sucks. Everything is so cold. It all hurts. Maybe I should put this one in first. Get in the hole. Okay. Oh, it's pretty cozy under here. Let's... Ow. Where the hell is that thing? Yeah. Get you on there. Clamp on here. You go like this. This one's in the way, so I guess we can do this one. Oh god, it goes up in the thing. Come on, you bitch. Oh yeah. This isn't tedious at all. Oh my lord. Oh my god, the anti-seize. It's like solid. I literally can't even use my hands right now. My fingers don't work. Like, I have no dexterity. Oh my god. It's not even winter yet. God damn it. Why the hell do we live here? I actually, can't even use my hands. I have no idea how I'm supposed to do the rest of the car when it gets colder than this. Maybe I can find someone to buy it as is, and I won't have to do anything else. Although you guys won't get the videos. I'm conflicted. I feel like I'm gonna die. Oh, god damn it. I wouldn't be working on the car without hitting this fucking camera off of everything. Oh, good thing my hands are nice and flammable. Start it up. Okay, no leaks. Oh, it's cold. It's so cold. Okay. Now we wait. Oh, there we go. Now I can shut it off. Now I just get to come back out, start it up for the second time, let it run for a half hour, turn it off, let it cool for a half hour, then I'll start it up the third time, and then when I'm coming to shut it off for the final time and just leave it for the night, that's when I'll come back with this video. It didn't really occur to me how long that was actually going to take to bake the exhaust, even though I knew that's at least 2.5 hours that I had to attend to this before I could shut it off the final time for the night. By the time I was done, it was like 4 in the morning. I didn't end up finishing the video up or whatever, so here we are, next day. Let's finish it up. It smells like some sort of chemical meth lab in here, so that's really cool. I even had the door open. I left it open until about 5 in the morning when I shut it. And it still smells like death in here, so that's super cool. Last thing I'm going to do is just use steel wool and clean up the stainless tips. That's it. It's nothing fancy. I don't gotta show it. Steel wool. Boop. Done. But come down here, you can actually see, well, hopefully you can see the whole black exhaust. And the clamp and everything isn't leaking. Everything's good. It's relatively quiet. But you also have to take into consideration that it's still a 3-inch turbo back straight pipe. There's no resonator. And it's 3 inches from the turbo all the way back to about here. So it's only the stock muffler portion that remains. If the next owner wants, you just need the 3-inch muffler portion and you're good. It is obviously louder than stock. For me, personally, if I was keeping this car, I would just leave it like this. This is actually a pretty good sound for this thing. I should probably open this. Maybe try to avoid getting carbon monoxide poisoning again. Once it gets out of the cold start thing, it actually quiets up a lot, where you can actually hear the injectors ticking away, as opposed to the actual exhaust making noise. Almost out of gas. That's gonna be interesting. I don't know, it still sounds alright. I guess that's it. Success. Exhaust is done. Sounds alright. I would leave it like this. But, like I said, this is all to sell the car. We can check this off the list, and just go on to the next thing for the next video. So I don't know, maybe you found something useful in this video or whatever, so you could like it, that's cool, or dislike it, whatever. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, that helps out a lot, or don't do any of it, I'm not telling you what to do.